Okay, Cadre 3, this is another video on creating a philosophy of leading. This is actually a shortened version of something I did some time ago in class about a philosophy of leading, and this is the part that relates to writing a philosophy of leading, which is something you're going to want to begin to be thinking about, because that's part of the course, is to develop a philosophy of leading. First point is that this is a philosophy of leading, not a philosophy of leadership. Leading is an active, it's a verb. Leadership is about a position, and the focus needs to be on what is it you do, what is it you believe, how will you operate as a leader, and that's doing the thing called leading, not being in the position called leadership. So this is from a PowerPoint that is also up on Blackboard that you can follow along. Again, if you can split your screen, that'd be great. Or just listen to this and work your way through the PowerPoint. A philosophy of leading is a big part of your journey. The assumption or underlying assumption to all this is that if you understand leading and you understand your own orientation to leading, you'll be better at it. You'll develop more, you'll grow more, you'll be more dynamic, all those kinds of things. And so a big part of your journey in this program is developing this philosophy of leading. It's something that you will carry with you. Once you have developed it, you'll find out that it will change from time to time. Not drastically in the sense of how you define it or what your core values are, but how it gets expressed, depending upon whether or not you're playing a role as a classroom teacher, for example, a principal, a college instructor, a college professor, that kind of thing. As you change roles, some of the expression of this philosophy of leading may change, but the core of it is not likely to change. Well, the first thing is what is a philosophy? A philosophy, and I've got to get some documents here in front of me, so that has to do with being a system of thought. It isn't just some random thoughts put down on paper. It's a system of thought, and it's based upon inquiry. In other words, inquiry in that you've read a little bit about it, you've studied it, you've researched it, you've talked with others about it. It isn't something that you've just gone up into a mountain, perhaps in Colorado, where they sell stuff that you think might help you reason something out. It isn't just something that just all of a sudden comes to you out of thin air. It is a system. Secondly, it's a system of fundamental assumptions or beliefs about leading. It's what kind of motivates you. It's what, when someone says to you, what is leading, it's what kind of immediately comes to mind, comes out of your mouth. And it's a set of ideas or beliefs. In other words, it's not just one, it's a set of them. Some of them are going to be more important than others, but it's basically a set of ideas that come from, again, research, reading, talking with others, those kinds of things. It's also a system of values, or you've heard the term a lot, non-negotiables. It's the things that say, this is what I will do, and it doesn't make any difference what the circumstances, what the situation is. These are the things that you will do and not change. So the definition of a philosophy could be any number of things, and on the PowerPoint there's a number of them. I'll just give you a couple of the key words in there. One, it's a discipline. Basically, a philosophy of leading is what you agree that you will do, and you stick with that philosophy. It's speculative rather than observational, in that it's what you will do, it's what you intend to do. It doesn't mean that you always do it that way. There's usually a price to pay for not doing that, in terms of dissonance, in terms of what you are as opposed to what you know you ought to be doing. But it tends to be speculative, and it's future-oriented. And it's a theory. It's the way you intend to operate. It's your theory of action in the world in which you're providing leadership and leading. And it's just simply the way you go about doing things. So, for our purposes, it's a system of thought. It's a statement of the discipline of leading that you intend to follow in your life. Some of the fundamental assumptions about it is that it's an active thing, not which is why we use philosophy of leading, not leadership. And it's about the present as you think about the present in terms of what you will do, but also includes the future. And there's a difference between the leading part and the leadership dimension of it. Gotta get the page turned here. So a philosophy of leading, I guess, could be summarized as the what and the how of what it is you think about in terms of leading, your ideas, your attitudes, your beliefs, your values, and it's your theory of action about how it should be done. It's your discipline. A mental model, and there's a mental model in the PowerPoint that talks about all the different things that go into a theory of leading or a philosophy of leading, is that ideas, attitudes, beliefs, values, and behaviors all become part of that philosophy of leading. So when you think about the point of it is that it's either can you think your way into a way of behaving, or do you behave your way into a way of thinking? Especially if you want to change your behavior. Do you change your behavior and let your thinking kind of catch up with it, or do you try to think your way into it? Good example is New Year's resolutions. We all come up with them. They often don't have much impact on anything in any way, simply because you can't think your way into a new way of behaving. You think you want to lose weight and you rationalize, or you want to become more physically fit and you rationalize how you might do it and all that kind of stuff. But until you start behaving in those ways, it really doesn't mean much. However, if you say, basically, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to go out and walk or run or do exercise or whatever it is, and I'm going to do that every day, and you start doing that, and as a result, you begin to think in terms of the benefits of what's going on, and your thinking process starts to align itself to your behavior, because that's one of the things about a theory of action is your behavior begins to align with the theory begins to align with the actions, and together that's what the point of having a philosophy of leading is about. So you can actually end up doing both. Thinking your way into a new way of behaving and behaving your way into a new way of thinking, and that's kind of what it's all about. And the key part of that whole process of ideas and attitudes and beliefs and values and behaviors as part of this theory or this philosophy of leading is that the key turning point in the whole thing is values. When you value being physically fit, you will begin to behave in those kinds of ways. Or when you behave... Excuse me just a minute.